This Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro comes standard with skid plates, a roof rack, all-terrain tires, and even a different exhaust system. So, how will all of these things affect its highway fuel economy? Well, today we're going to find out. This is Christopher Brower with Daily Motor, and today we're doing the highway fuel economy test on the 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Quite a bright example we're driving today. This is called Lime Rush. Other touches on this TRD Pro, we have Toyota lettering here on the front, a fake hood scoop, these really cool 17-inch wheels, and like I mentioned, this roof rack is standard. I've heard a lot of people are actually having the dealerships take these off before they take delivery of their 4Runner. I think it looks awesome, but from a usability standpoint, you know, it would be hard to even fit this thing in a parking structure. So anyways, though, overall, Toyota got it really right with the looks of this latest Gen 4Runner. It's been around for quite a while now. Man, Lime Rush, it's new for this year. What do you guys think? Does it remind you of a Lamborghini or an Escape hybrid? I can't quite decide. All right, well, without further ado, let's hop in this thing and go ahead and get started. So under the hood of this Toyota 4Runner, we have a 4-liter naturally aspirated V6, about 270 horsepower engine that's been around for a while. There's no longer a V8 option for the 4Runner, so this is your only engine option. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA highway test, which gives this Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro 19 MPG on the highway, only tests the cars at 48 miles per hour. And we know that a lot of people like to take their cars on actual road trips and drive them at 70 miles per hour on the highway. So what our test does is goes out 50 miles, back 50 miles, with an average speed of 70 miles per hour. A couple things to note for today's test. The outside temperature is 23 degrees Fahrenheit. It is absolutely freezing out. We're going to be running the climate control at an indicated 73 degrees auto in here. Tires have been pumped up to their door placard indicated 32 PSI cold. And we're going to be using the same pump to fill up now, as well as when we get back, using the same 3-click fueling method. All right, well, let's go ahead and get out and do our first fill. All right, guys, and a whopping 14.5 gallons in for our first fill. About $50 worth of petrol there if you're not a Daily Motor member. That would be a good time maybe to support us for giving you such valuable information here, testing these cars in their real world scenarios for fuel economy. All right, let's go ahead and reset our trip. Trip is zeroed out. All right, and let's go ahead and set our climate control to 73 degrees auto. Fire this thing up. Ah, yes, you can hear that belt-driven fan putting in work. Okay, as far as drive modes go, we don't have any on-road settings for our drive modes. In fact, we do have a little eco indicator down there on the speedometer that lets you know that you're being economical. But we don't have an actual eco mode to put this thing into. Highway's about a half mile away. I will catch up with you once I am merging on. All right, and merging on to the highway. Now the purpose of this test is not to hypermile. I'm just gonna get on here, set the cruise control to GPS indicated 72 miles per hour, and just drive. I'm just gonna drive normally as anyone would going on a long road trip or anything like that, morning commute. And we'll see what this Toyota 4Runner gets. Go ahead and get this thing up to speed. Gingerly, thank you. All right, and it's looking like 74 on the cruise control is a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour. Cruise control set, one of my favorite cruise control stock layouts. I love the old Toyota style with this Toyota Lexus. It's so easy to use and just very, very convenient. We do also have a lane keep assist system, which I will go ahead and turn on. This thing's a little bit floaty. It floats around quite a bit on the highway, so I've got my work cut out for me for the next 102.2 miles. We can also adjust our distance here. I'm going to make that the closest setting, which is probably still pretty far. Comfort in here is great, honestly. The ride is very soft. The seats are made out of a very soft material. They're very plush, which goes along with the ride on this Toyota 4Runner. However, otherwise, as I'm sure you can hear, quite a bit of exhaust drone, quite a bit of wind noise, I suspect, from the roof rack, and quite a bit of tire noise as well. So not the most quiet vehicle here on the highway. I'm going to try out the JBL sound system once I get going here and hopefully drown out some of this road noise. But anyways, those are my first highway impressions on this Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. I'm going to go ahead and sit back, try to relax, and I will catch you guys in about 95 miles. Alright guys, finishing up our trip here in this 2022 4Runner TRD Pro, and I've got to say, after about 100 miles on the highway in this thing, I'm not super impressed with the performance and just the daily driving aspect of this car. If you actually had a long highway commute, this is probably not a vehicle that I would recommend. It's got quite a bit of road noise from these Nitto all-terrain tires, quite a bit of wind noise from that roof rack, and the exhaust drones quite a bit. Not to mention, with this cruise control being set really, well, whatever speed you're set at, in this case 74 to match our 72, when you're going around people, it downshifts to 4th gear from 5th, and then it just stays in 4th gear. I've found myself having to manually shift it back into 5th gear a couple of times, which is very strange. I don't know why it chooses to cruise at like 3,400 RPM in 4th gear as opposed to just shifting itself into 5th. But that's a little bit annoying as well. As far as ride comfort goes, obviously in that department, it's fantastic. It's very comfortable in here. It also kind of tramlines around the road a little bit. I found myself having to hold both hands here and just really keep this thing straight. But the actual radar guided cruise control, if you ignore the fact that the car is shifting itself down into 4th gear and holding itself there when it shouldn't. Yep, radar cruise or lane keep making itself known there. The actual radar cruise control works very well and passes faster than most cars do. So as far as that goes, I'm pretty pleased. It's just not the best highway cruiser. I've just been blasting music the whole time to keep myself sane. So let's see, on our trip here, we've got an indicated 17.4 MPG. I'm thinking that's going to be pretty accurate. We shall see when we pull up to the pump. All right, guys, let's go ahead and hop out of this thing and put some gas in it and see what kind of fuel economy we were able to achieve. 5.412 gallons in there for our final fill. Let's go ahead and see what that adds up to. All right, so we know our trip there is 102.2 miles exactly. Divide that by the 5.412 gallons. And that gives us, actually, better than the car read out, 18.88. And that rounds up to 19 MPG, meaning this thing pretty much met EPA. This is honestly better than I was expecting it to get with the roof rack and, all of these things that are preventing it from being fuel efficient. But really not too bad of a performance here from this TRD Pro. All right, so we know we have a 23-gallon fuel tank in this thing, meaning we have an effective highway cruising range of about 430 miles. Pretty good amount of range here in this Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. So there you go, about 19 MPG, 430 miles of highway cruising range. Not too bad of a performance. I was honestly expecting this thing to get about 17. So, you know, on a warm summer day, maybe if you lost the roof rack, you'd be up in the 19s, maybe even 20. Maybe not that much. Anyways. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching me drive this big avocado. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor. And as always, drive on.